just had the most wonderful week. I was doing a nice workshop presentation here at the Kiln Studio in Fairhope, Alabama, the most beautiful little town right here at the coast of Alabama. And I have Susan here with me, and I am so curious to know what she thought about the week, and I would like to talk to her a little bit. So let me introduce Susie to you. Susan Bowman, thank you so much for having me this whole week in your beautiful studio and gallery.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you here. I'm so thrilled. We've been working on this for a couple of years to get you here, and you lived up to all the expectations plus more. It was a really great week.
Well, that's a huge compliment coming from you, because you have some big names, big artists that's been presenting, that's been showing in your gallery. I would absolutely love for you to talk about it. Tell us where you came from, where the studio made it start. I know you've been in college, in which college you were. Just give us a short history of what we're dealing with.
Okay, I have a BFA in sculpture from the University of Georgia, and I worked in television graphics for several years, and then I stayed at home with my children and started back in clay in the late 1900s. I'm really old. In the late 90s. And looking back at some old Ceramics Monthly, and I saw Ron Myers in there, and did not know who he was at the time because I was in fine arts and sculpture, and started reading the article, and I was like, oh my gosh, he was there when I was there, and I just didn't have any idea. So I opened this gallery, and I had a lot of connections through wood firing at the University of Montevallo, and I'd met several artists. I started out with them, and then I wrote a letter to Ron and explaining all this to him and asking if he would show, and just from the gracious person that he is, he agreed to do that, and he came and taught a workshop and gave me validity in the ceramic world, and I've been able to keep that quality of work in here in this little tiny town in South Alabama, and it's been quite a journey. I've showed at NCECA in the Gallery Expo for the last 3 years, and one of just a handful of national galleries that were accepted. And it's been a great journey. You know, we've expanded our space. We've doubled our space within this time. It's been 5 years now. We teach classes. We have workshops. We do summer camp. We do teacher professional development, which I think is a really important part of our business, to keep young people aware of clay and keep their interest in clay. It's what's going to keep this art form going.
And you have some big names here. Apart from Ron Myers, which is, he's an icon in ceramics. You have other people, of course. Me looking at the porcelain, I'm first looking at Kurt Bensley. Sebastian?
Yes, Sebastian Moh, Chris Guston, Fong Chu. We have Scott Bennett. We have Jane Schellenbarger, Lorna Meaden. They've all come and taught workshops here.
Mary Louise Carter.
And Mary Louise Carter. I've been able to choose the ones to get a variety of artists to teach all kinds of different skills for the students to be able to get a large variety of information from all these different artists that are masters of their craft. So it's been a good community service, and we're starting to really get more people flying in for the workshops from all over the United States, because not only is this a great studio and gallery, but as you said earlier, it's a great town. So we're right on the bay. It's a beautiful town with flowers everywhere, and a lot of nature, and a lot of creative spirit. We have, as you said, a great artist community, a big writers community here also.
Let's go see who you have up there. And I first want to start out with this wall piece right behind us.
This is Chris Greider and Scott Bennett. It's a collaborative piece, and it's one of the best collaborative pieces I've ever seen because both of their styles are very distinct in there, and yet is a very cohesive piece.
That is gorgeous.
Yes, this is the second collaboration they've done for me.
I would love that piece in my house.
Yeah.
I've been looking at this all week long. It's just beautiful. I love it.
Yes, this is one of our local artists, actually, Berta McPherson, who's got an MFA in ceramics, and she's really focused more on sculptural pieces than functional pieces, as you can see from here. So, this is Ken Baskin, who teaches at McNeese State in Louisiana currently. He's from Detroit, so you can see this industrial background. He and Scott Meyer and Rick Hirsch have been working on this collaboration of crucible sculptures together.
Did they do workshops here as well?
Yes, they came from all their different schools, and they brought assistants with them, and they came and stayed here a week.
Amazing.
They worked in the studio and made work, and then we had a big exhibition here where we had a big opening. We invited the community to come in. And it was a great learning experience. It was tons of fun. They'd work all day in the studio, go fishing at night, we'd eat seafood.
And they ate it.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Well, one of my favorites is Mary Louise Carter. She's come and done a workshop. Her work is exquisite. I think she's one of the top artists in our field. Her craft is impeccable. And she's a great person and a great teacher. She's very patient and observant and has a way of getting her point across in a very gentle, nourishing way. So I really enjoyed, and I had her work before I ever met her. And then I met her, and this has been one of the beauties of having the gallery is you meet the artists and you go, well, of course this is your work. This has to come out of your hands.
Because it's also embedded in her personality,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Above Mary Louise, I have Zach Zierke, who is a local artist who works mostly with local clays. We're also very much known for our clay deposits here in Fairhope. We have a big clay history. Zach's great-great-grandfather was a potter, full-time potter. This is Jane Schellenbarger. She came just in March and did a workshop, and I was very flattered for her to actually show her work in here with me, because she's an incredible artist who is very gifted in many areas of clay.
She's making the most gorgeous teapots.
Yes. This is Matt Repsher. He and his wife live in Santa Fe. She's a jeweler, and he's a clay artist. And he does exactly exquisite work.
Yeah, look at
very
the
detailed.
If the camera can catch the detail on that foot.
And you can see the quietness that's been part of his influence from Chris.
Yeah, well, it's quiet, but at the same time intriguing.
Yes, it has a lot going on.
Yeah.
A lot, very, very subtle intricacies that you can look at for a long time.
And we even get into practice here.
Yes, yes. This is Chris Greider, who does these beautiful wall installations as well as these vessels, and very unique.
And it's taking us back to the collaboration piece out there. Yeah.
So we have Ronald Peterson here, who he'll be coming for his 4th workshop here this summer, and they're always full because he's so generous with his information, and he does everything on one pot.
He's layering, right?
Yes, yes. This is how he dresses. So his influences are nature, decay in nature, and comic books. And you look at it and you go, well, of course that's his influence. So he's a great person and a great presenter and a great artist.
Basically the layering.
Yes.
That's making it.
He layers in every stage of the making.
Yeah, and he knows what he's doing, but there's the surprise element that comes out as well. Here's an artist that I know, and she's so playful in what she's doing, and I know you have some of her works out there that's behind glass, because it's very people may misjudge the handling of the work, right?
Yeah, it is functional. It's all definitely functional, but it looks like it's very, very precious. And it is precious, but it is made to be used.
And we know porcelain look delicate. I've had that people asking that all the time or mentioning that all the time, but it's the hardest clay out there because it's becoming glass-like.
Right.
So, this is playful.
Yes,
you know, she's playing her way through her career.
Yes, and she's been here and taught a workshop, and it was great to have a hand builder. I don't have a lot of hand builders, so I'm building on that. But she was great, and we had a huge audience for her.
Yeah.
And again, she's another person that I had her work before I knew her, and actually I had bought, before I ever opened the gallery, I had some of her work, and I just said, well, I would like to have her in the gallery, and I just wrote her a letter, and she didn't know who I was from, oh no, I called her and I said, you don't know me, but I just opened this gallery and I know I'm catching you off guard, and this is my proposal, and don't answer me right now, just think about it, you know. And so then she called me a couple days later and agreed to send me her work, and then she came out and did a workshop, and again, she's as lovely as her work, so it was a pleasure.
I would love for you to talk a little bit about Sebastian, because you had a very special event with him. So I would love for you to talk about it.
Okay, this is Sebastian Moh's work, and I've known Sebastian for quite some time, and I guess the beauty of working in clay is you meet these wonderful people, and they're all gentle, giving people. Sebastian's been here many times. We've done a workshop that was a demonstration workshop, but the last one he did, he's also an Asian cook, and so he came and we had a dinner cooking class, although it turned out to just be mostly an eating fest, and we had all handmade dishes with some other artists other than just Sebastian, and it was a lovely evening, and it was full before I ever even advertised it. And it turns out most of the people there had studios that were teaching studios. I don't know why that was, but that was our audience for that. Well, you had mentioned Curtis Bensley earlier, and this is some of his work, and I had seen his work for a long time in magazines and had read about him, and he actually came to the Alabama Clay Conference, and we were talking, and he handed me his card, and I went, oh, you're that guy. So it was great, and so then I brought him in. He did a workshop, and it was just, he's another quiet person that's really funny.
But you know, he's huge.
Yeah, yes.
He's exhibited across the world.
Well, I called him and he was in Greece, so teaching a workshop.
Having him coming from across the world and end up in your gallery and studio, that says something about the Kiln Studio.
Well, thank you. I'm a people person, and I've been very fortunate to work with all these great people, and I have relationships with all the artists here, and they're very important to me. I mean, they're what make the studio.
And there's Feng Chu at the bottom. He's been with his teapots, he's all over, and I saw lately that he started out with a little bit of a new series of work, which is going to be interesting to see it.
Yes. So this is Lynette Hesser, and she's a very intricate carver, as you can see. And she came with her husband, Steve Laux, and they did a workshop together here. And they're from Alabama, so they are regional, and it's a pleasure to have their work in here also.
Look at those moving lines. You mentioned that you have some members, and it seems like this might be what you have.
Yes, we aside from the classes and the workshops, we have memberships. So people have, if they can work on their own, And they have 24-hour access to the studio as long as there's not a class going on, as well as the opportunity to put their work into the gallery and sell their work and have it seen. So most of these have started off taking classes here when I first opened and have now moved into working independently. So it's a great little family.
I'm our oldest student member. Maybe an age and a number of years doing it.
So this is some of Brandon Mercer's work. I had him, he went with me to NCECA this year, and he sold out of his work almost within the first hour of the expo. And he's got a very quiet, pristine style here. So currently we have Jake Ollinger here working with us and teaching the classes, and he's from Fairhope and has been throwing pots since he's 10 and just finished with his master's from Notre Dame.
We cannot finish this video without just mentioning Chris Guston's work.
Of course, who doesn't love his work? So yeah, it's been a real pleasure having his work in here also and meeting him several times. We haven't had him for a workshop yet, but you know, hopefully that's to come. So we had talked about the collaboration between Chris Greider and Scott Bennett. Well, this is Scott's current work now. He's just got this crazy wild thing going on that he's been working on for a while, and it's a beautiful result. And you can see the influence in the collaborative piece. You can tell which is his and which is Chris's and how it has worked together.
Well, Susie, the Kiln Studio and Gallery. Here is my work. I've been here all week long, and I am absolutely impressed. And I want to say so much thank you for giving me this opportunity to come to your studio and gallery. I think you're doing such a great job.
Well, thank you so much. And it was, like I said earlier, it was such a pleasure to have you and have Chris with us. Your work is exquisite. You were handpicked, and I've waited a long time to get you here. And it's just been a great experience, and I hope to have you back. We would love to do another workshop and put a different variation on it, because you do have the ability to do many different things. So I'm looking forward to that, and thank you so much for coming. And
thank you. Having your eye on the work and on the artists and putting me in that place is a humbling experience. Thank you so much.
oh, thank you.